months will go by. Here, let me get my ears on as well. So I invited. Let me see if this goes. This happening? I think it's happening. Says it's connected. Hey guys, how you doing? But we also both have experienced the problems associated. I was just trying to think of a big fancy word. So we've both experienced the issues of, or the ramifications. That's the big word I was looking for, of living in your vehicle. Apparently, uh, 2005, it's not a secret anymore. 2025, rather. Woohoo! Yeah, it's not a secret anymore. If you lived in your vehicle and you were paying attention, especially if you're living in certain areas, then you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. You knew the whole no living in your vehicle was bound to happen. And a lot of us were pegged as conspiracy theorists that this was actually happening. But yeah, even certain real popular influencers in the nomad community were trying to downplay what was happening because, well, it wasn't really happening to them. I think it's kind of annoying when you shine over things that are happening that are significant, but you shine over them because they're not happening to you. That's it's kind of lame. But we're all lame, aren't we, in one way or another? So we're all just one happy family. So yes, it's a big deal not being able to stay in your vehicle. You know, when it's wintertime, okay, you're forced to not be out in the wilderness. And okay, that's fine. I really enjoyed being in the wilderness in the winter, but all right, it is a little rough. There are dangers. So you trade those off and you live indoors. But in California, there's only a few months out of the year that you really need to be indoors. And now, if you are homeless in our community, anywhere, probably anywhere in California at this point. If you're homeless, you're probably going to be jailed or institutionalized in some way, shape, or form. And for Chad Ventures, his institutionalization came in the way of education, which is good. Still institutionalized, though. And my institutionalization comes in the way of being housed with other people, elderly people, people that don't want to live in houses but are being forced to. A lot of the people that I live in this house with are, yeah, they prefer to live in their vehicle over living this way. But it's more on point. The Patriot Act and the 9/11 thing that happened did happen, and it created a lot of things that took a long time to come down the pipe. And the Patriot Act took a long time to implement in America, where we kind of fancy ourselves free. Took a long time to implement, but we're finally there, folks. The authoritarianism that we wanted to flip the switch on way back in 2011 has finally been flipped. You could argue not as bad as other authoritarian countries, and you may be correct. But this is certainly not the America that a lot of us, that most of us know and recognize and associate with. And yes, we've never really been that far away from authoritarianism. We've never really been that far away from fascism. Uh, But we certainly are creeping closer to it, and in many ways surpassing other authoritarian countries. So, we knew it was happening. But yes, it sucks big time. Sucks big time. Ooh. The- but we're martial artists. We're wing chunners. We're gonna make the best of it. And have been making the best of it. I started a company and started developing uh, software, AI related software and stuff. Using AI to create software. So I'm just taking advantage of the opportunity to be indoors around a internet connection. When you're outdoors, you're hunting internet connection. You're spending a lot of time hunting for internet connection. So yeah, let me see. Let's see who's visiting. I don't expect anybody because I have not been posting on this channel. And hey Ronan, aloha. I see you have a king number one badge. I wonder what that means. Does that mean you are the king and you are Ronan? You are number one. How's it going, Ronan? Where are you from? Are you still here? What's going on? Take care of some things here. I am listening. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, 1 second here. I'll be right back with you guys. All right. Oh, did I mute that? Did that or not? All right. I was trying to avoid any unpleasant sounds for you guys. Um, yeah, it's now officially illegal to be a nomad in America. Now, there's a history there, right? There's a history of hatred towards nomads. Um, we haven't always hated on nomads. When it's convenient, we will promote nomadism in sorts in America when it's convenient. When the industrial age started and the advent of the car, where you wanted everybody to have a car, well, you create Yeah, that's where a lot of our national parks and places to pull off and park. Uh, yeah, it wasn't a big deal back in the early days. You wanted people to buy a car and travel and see our great country. Well, now it's kind of a different story, I would say. Now we don't want people not investing in real estate. Of course, back in the day, probably was easier to get yourself a piece of land if that's what you wanted. It was affordable. It's not affordable anymore. Okay. And not only have they not made it affordable, not only have they made most jobs not pay you enough unless you work two or three or four jobs. Oh no, I'm starting to sound like I'm whining, and I don't like to do that. But you all are living the dream right now, right? This ain't all foreign, right? So yes, since this spring, I have officially been incarcerated. That's the words I'm going to use. Incarcerated. I am a prisoner of the California penal system, and my crime is not being really wealthy. Uh, as in, my crime is not making well over six digits because that's what you need now, folks. You need six digits or you are a criminal. And not just six digits, you need to be a six-digit slave. In other words, if you're just breezing on six digits, no, 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 you need to be an abject slave in order to maintain your six digitry, your six digitry. Uh-oh. Who else is here? I can't see very well, but I'm wondering, is this Ramon? It's Ramon. Aloha. How you doing? All right. Yeah, it's been what? Well, a little longer. How did I say it? I'm a prisoner of the California penal system. Yeah. So this prison that I'm in here is going to have me teach at the local hall right on Main Street. Very cool. Kind of bizarre. Kind of bizarre. It's done at one of those like Freemason style. I'm not going to say the actual name, but it's a Freemason kind of thing. Kind of weird. I'll say this: the building used to, for over 50 years, house, I kid you not, Aryan Army Navy store or Army surplus store. Yeah, Arian's surplus, Army surplus store. I kid you not. And they operated there for me. I've only gone in there once. They surrounded me and I left. Arians, white power kind of guys. Yeah, I swear. They only just recently have been shut down. And now I think they're getting the colored guy in town to teach martial arts there. Holy moly. I say God loves irony. Jeez, man. Um, yeah. How's it going, Ramon? What's going on? Thank you for welcoming me back. I'm working with learning computer programming and building stuff with various programming languages and whatnot, and that's been really fun. Have you been focusing on training in your jujitsu as much as I fantasize every day about doing jujitsu? I watch so many jujitsu. If I am the least bit distracted, you go, oh, he's watching a jujitsu video. No, more chances are. That's the only thing that still distracts me in life. One of these days, as soon as we get the Wing Chun going here, then I'm going to ease in some groundwork, what we call chin up. Only 3 hours a week, I would kill for 3 hours a week. Do you understand me? I would kill for 3 hours a week. There's all my acting skills coming into play. Man. Uh but I am so freaked out because of, like, the C, the big C, and being older and stuff. Um and they would have to make sure I would have to make sure that they were showered, and their ghee would have to smell like bleach, or I would just freak out, and the person would have to have really clean themselves, not just a little shower, but really slough off a lot of that dead skin and a lot of the nasty stuff that humans will have accumulate in their crevices and stuff. Oh, I'm such a germ freak these days. Yeah, I swear I don't even consider dating anymore. I don't. I don't consider dating. And I'm more than capable of dating, if you know what I mean. But the germ thing, ah, and I'm not being Howard Hughes here. People are just nasty and diseased. So, but you know what? If you go in there and you roll with them at least 3 times a week, then you're building your immunities and whatnot. You're doing the right thing. I know. You're made of iron, man. I'm just a lowly willow, just bending in the hurricane and whatnot. But yeah, no more nomad world for me. Well, I'm a nomad still, because as soon as they let me out of this institution of not being allowed to do this, I'm just in here. I spend a good amount of my time still in my vehicle, and hardly drive it anymore because you can't afford to. Can't afford it. I still hang out here anyway because I'm more comfortable in here. Uh, but like I said, I'm not whining. I'm getting her done, training, getting a lot of good training in, getting my training in with my Wing Chun brothers and whatnot. Um, man, but I'm not going to deny how envious I am that you get to work on your transitions, on your arm bar to triangle to Uma Plata. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I call it being institutionalized. I call it being incarcerated. Yes, sticks and bricks. I live in a nice old Victorian house. I live in the nicest room within the house, so I shouldn't complain at all. It wouldn't matter if I were in the Taj Mahal. I'd still feel the same way. I do not like having to do this. I don't like it, man. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be real with you here. But I'm making the best of it. Like I said, I've been wanting to buckle down and do programming and buckle down and improve on my math skills and my algebra stuff like that. So, and it was really impossible for me, at least. Yeah, I wasn't able to pull that off. I was able to pull stuff off, but that wasn't one of them. So here, it's just physically. the internet connection is 24/7, and that's the kind of stuff you need when you're learning and when you're developing and doing programming and stuff. I need the internet for programming, but when you're learning programming, it sure helps. Yeah. But yeah, living, I'm incarcerated. Yes, I am. Yes. Six, six, six and bricks, six and bricks, or six and uh, sick and fix, six and fix. Oh boy, yeah. I don't know if they're doing that where you're at, but in my county, if you are homeless and you do not take any of whatever they're forcing you into, so here it would be prison or like a detention center or something, they'll throw you in jail. That's what they do for a while, and avoiding it up until this spring. Finally, yeah. I got cornered, literally cornered. They were chasing me. I would drive all different parts. I would even drive out of town. They were chasing me in my vehicle, saying, "Go ahead, yeah, go ahead and try to sleep. Go ahead, go ahead." Unreal. They were literally finding me and ripping my doors open. I don't know how my doors were open because I always lock them, but for some reason they were open. That was, I mean, it's not a huge magic trick. Easy enough, easy enough to have a universal door clicky. Yeah. And then you disguise the noise by banging. And that's what they would do. They bang and probably have a clicky. I don't know. Maybe it's possible, right? How the hell was they catch me every time. Those times were times that I what forgot to lock the door. That was just really weird. If you're mentally ill, if you're drug addicted, any of those things, you need help. I think we should properly help those people. But there is institutionalization that's going to happen no matter what. But you don't throw everybody, especially after a major, major happened in our world that affected major populations they had no control of. Unreal. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we're all kind of being thrown. If you live, essentially, if you're not paying rent to a policeman who, yeah, God loves irony. So, ah, yeah. So anyway, like I said, I'm not suffering so much because I'm using this as an opportunity to learn and to advance and whatnot. To learn things I've always wanted to learn. Make money. Well, you could have the best ideas in the world. You can't make money these days. You have to put yourself into servitude to make money. If I'm wrong, tell me. But as far as being like an artist and whatnot, there's a whole argument that could be had there. I understand that argument, but it doesn't apply to me here. I have been utilizing and slaving my art and slaving my services out my whole life. It's what we're talking about here is more of the corporate entity pretty much taking over small businesses and pretty much squashing. small businesses. So now small businesses have no other option but to throw themselves into servitude, the gig culture and all that. That's all. But no, like, delivering some hamburgers or I don't know. I don't know. I know not everyone is in this boat. I understand that. But I'm just saying, and I got to say, most are probably in a worse intellectual and psychological state than I'm in. Uh, but yeah, Ramon, they have always wanted to. Now they have the Fed's blessings. Yeah. You know, you know what interrupted this? That cause. We were backing that horse. Then we like to conveniently say that, well, we got involved and we fought. Oh, shut up. You don't know your history. No, Hitler turned on America and America said, "Oh yeah." And then there's the whole uh, Churchill, right? It's just a little thing is so you don't think I'm a conspiracy guy. But there's Chancellor, oh geez, the guy that was before Churchill. Well, he was an ally of Hitler. The English were allies of Hitler, and so was America. And but then Churchill didn't like Hitler. Churchill was in the First World War just like Hitler until they flipped and all this. Authoritarian sounds about right, unless you visited China and Russia. So we're probably still a little bit of ways from there, but we're aligning ourselves pretty well, pretty quickly. But we would have been there much quicker if it weren't for we had to kind of change the channels and say, oh, we got to be more inclusive. And then what did we do to a lot of the Germans? We had a huge German bunt here in America. So once we went in there and took care of that little situation, we also made sure that we got yeah, man, it's wild. It's wild. I don't want to pat myself on the back too much here, but I'm telling the world, man, you better get into martial arts because martial arts is what allows you to sort of just maintain your sanity and sort of put all this in the context, right? You might be whining about a thing here and there, but wait until you have somebody that's trying to choke you unconscious or break a limb. It all gets so much more real. We're not dealing with the life-threatening abstracts, right? I mean, it's like just boom. That's what that's what I also love about Chisao and Jiu-Jitsu, China. So I miss it big time, and hopefully we'll be getting back on that boat. Apparently, my school's supposed to open early fall. So yes, yes. So you're not avoiding the fight, but you're just more prepared for it. Yes, very well put, my friend. Yeah, Ramon says you learn to plan 3 steps ahead. Yes. So yeah, I had to do this sort of, I call these flash streams because, uh, and it seems to be the way that these have to go because I have been planning on doing this for months, months. Every Sunday, I plan to do one every Sunday night. And by Sunday evening, I'm rather too engaged in something that's much more important and whatnot. I probably need to get back to my studies. I did start a company called Ziegler 8. Ziegler 8. It's Z8, but I couldn't get Z8 as a domain, so I just used Ziegler 8, the number 8, Ziegler8.com. And I have the sort of these AI clones and avatars I've been working with. Everybody, the market is flooded, but I really like the stuff that I can do with these avatars, especially if I get more fluent with various programming languages, which is what I've been doing. And right now, I made a very unique custom clone. I can't afford to do the avatar clone of myself because that actually, like if you're going to do it live, costs money. But I have figured ways to do a clone that's local and does some really cool stuff. So, yeah, certainly check out. I'm not this first clone that I've made. I made a local clone, and um, I'm not going to release it because it can do some really freaky stuff. I made a video last night of what it could do, and I decided not to put it out. Reason being is once it's out there, people realize the potential of what you can do with it. And so I have to figure out some sort of safeguards, some safety rails for this thing. But that was expected. So I'm going to keep iterating. on a lot of the back end stuff, I think it's really, nothing in the internet works in a vacuum. I asked AI about local AI and what they thought. And I got a lot of answers, but the one answer that rang most, resonated most, was that, and they answered me in a parable. They said, vehicles need oil, gas, vehicles need oil, lubrication stuff. Like, and so, yeah, it's also been a learning lesson with programming, internet. Yeah, you don't do that. And I mean, you can up to an extent, and that's what I'm going to do. One of these days, I will thank you. The it has the I'm afraid that it's going to kind of come off like the billion of AI wannabes out there, you know. But that's okay. One of the things I came to terms oh, Chad just he's laboring right now. So we miss you, Chad. And yeah, yeah, you're doing the deed. We understand. So uh yeah, so my focus here isn't well, I told you what the pinnacle of points. Because at a very early point, I've already created and iterated AI that I love. I've been working with it and connecting with other people with this particular AI function. I love it. It's amazing. The only thing I can tell you, it's an AI and it's a fortune teller. Okay. So yeah, it collects data and then it tells fortunes, but not local AI. The one I create is a local AI, but uses voice synthesis that is online. I'm using my voice, but it's a computer voice synthesis of my voice. So you can see that in the AI lab, the Z8 lab. Will have like different me speaking different languages that I don't actually know, and then I know people that know those languages. They told me it was perfect, spot on. So, but those are all common usages, and the what has excited me to make this company was how quickly I can get it to do some very useful things. And what I mean by that is not to like make art or to make music, but to engage in those things, engage psychologically and in a very in order to run certain programs and algorithms, et cetera, et cetera. So, um, yeah. So this first one's a fortune teller. You can get them to do whatever you want to do, but the trick is making them small so they're portable. And no, I'm not the only one doing that. That's why I talk about it. Making them small, making them portable. Everybody's trying to make smaller LLMs right now. But also programming it so it behaves in a way that um, that you want it to. And that's where the guardrails have to come in. That's why this is so challenging because I'm using it to do really cool stuff and connect with people and sort of blow their minds and teach them something about themselves, because that's why I think I'm here on the earth to do is to explore myself and explore other people's existence, right? What makes life so rich for me. That's why money doesn't make sense to me. And being cruel to other people doesn't make sense to me because you gotta learn from anyway, I don't want to go down any rabbit holes on this, but I know for sure that um, this approach to AI can be extremely beneficial, not only to yourself, but to others around you. That's the important part. Beneficial to yourself and others around you. Because if you follow that, then you can really do some phenomenal things. If you're just trying to make yourself rich and trying to, well, then you're going to have the same problems as everything else, right? You're going to have the same restrictions with that. So, some of you may understand this concept as open source. I also call it the white belt mentality, except it's a little, because white belts don't want to be white belts, right? But I love being a white belt. I would never trade my white belt for any belts. When are you gonna get rid of that belt? Because it's kind of old and nasty. Not exactly white, but I love my white belt, and I always tell them I always want to maintain a white belt mentality. You know, if you are an instructor, my job isn't to see if I can beat you. My job is to see what can I learn from you. Right? Just like when I used to do magic. I'm not trying to fool you. I'm trying to teach you something about your brain. Why are you interrupting me? Or, that was why I stopped doing magic. I still do magic, but I do it I perform um, live very, not so much. Yeah, because I really, it just hurts me when I'm trying to teach something that's really pertinent, and they're like, oh, it even happened in martial arts too, right? Not just in magic, but in martial arts. You try to show them a technique and like, oh yeah, well, what if they do this? What if they do that? Okay, well then you got to do this. Oh yeah, well, and it's like, okay, stop it. Right? So, yeah, do I need to be more tolerant to that? I don't know. I'll figure stuff out. I'll figure it out eventually. Maybe I should never really engage as much as I have in the future with the public. That might be an answer, not quite as much. Uh, but I do really enjoy connecting with people. I really do miss grappling and rolling and chisel and all that stuff. Hopefully that will start happening. I have my Mukjung. I've got all my Wing Chun paraphernalia in my sticks and bricks. Yes, yes. My incarceration institution allows for me to have my music gear and my martial arts gear all in front of me. So, yeah, they're trade offs. Making the best out of it. Um, I am going to go back to being a nomad as soon as possible. I don't know when that is because, how it goes, right? So hopefully I can make some sort of impact, have some sort of influence on catching the winds of reason, and get people to really appreciate one another and to cooperate and communicate, like Chad and I have been saying for probably all whole this whole outside freak. The theme has pretty much been that we all need to cooperate and it couldn't be more true, but it's very blasé. Who's going to tattoo that on them? Nobody's going to tattoo that. All right, we're coming up on our hour. I got about 10 minutes left, and I'm going to use them up because after this, I'm going to be geeking at a keyboard for many hours. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing this psychology programming on this first AI model, but I really want to get to like do magic. I mean, not magic, music. I've already been able to get like automated MIDI, just so I can jam, you predestine what key and what kind of rhythm and stuff like that. So I've done that through MIDI, and that's cool and all, but I think I can probably knock it up a notch. My idea here, and I don't care if anybody steals it because then I won't have to make it myself. I'll buy it, right? And that is, you can start jamming, it hears you, and a band starts playing along off of the music of what you're playing. And I think this would be pretty easy to do, especially if you pre-programmed it with your style of music. Like, okay, this is how I play, and you go, oh, okay, do you want me to play like this with it? How much variable, right? How many? Because you can just do like randomness on certain things. How much randomness do you want in the notes and the rhythms? Blah blah blah. Right. So it'd be very easy to do and is being done already, but just not well enough. It should just be a simple app. I press it, it starts listening to me, and then it starts jamming. And it's all always listening. So if I start playing differently, then it will start adjusting the whole band as well. So I could just get an acoustic guitar, bust out my app, and just start jamming along with it. No other anything else needed. Yeah. And then of course in the app you could choose what instrument you want it to play or not play. Um, I guess you could even have a voice synthesis so something could sing, but amongst bands, one of the hardest things to do in music is to get rid of the singer. Yeah, that's a joke. That's a joke. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So I hope you're doing well. If I'm not mistaken, I think Ramon, you are down south. If I'm not mistaken. Um, and so you had the fires that were happening there, um, and whatnot. I think I should probably be down south, quite honestly. I'm well, I wound up here in the Sierra. There's a lot of lefties to make me feel like a righty, but I'm not. You know, so it's changing. It's changing, not fast enough. But it's changing. There's a lot of demonstrations that happen right here. I live right in the middle of town, so a lot of demonstrations that happen. So it's good to see those things. Um, but I definitely, man, I belong in Idlewild, or I belong in like downtown LA, Venice. Yeah, man. I need to skate. I want to skate. So when I get back to nomadism, I'm just going to pick it right back up, and I'm going to do my skate tour. I'm going to go down south and skate the gazillion skate parks that are down south. Um, yeah, hopefully not hurt myself in any of that, you know. But first we got to get past this incarceration of people that live in their vehicles. Yeah. Yeah, man. My skate tour, because I was going to do that this this summer or this up and coming fall, even, right? I was going to do it, but and that I was going to do it and say, well, if I can't find a place and to just stay away from getting put in jail, then I'll just keep moving. Maybe I'll go down south. Maybe they'll be a little bit more lenient down south. So I was full on planning on going down south. I got some friends down south as well. I figured, but then April, I finally did, get this opportunity to get into a place. I figured I'd be like hiking in the woods, just going right from my doorstep into the mountains here. No, man, too busy coming up with rent and doing what everybody else that has sticks and bricks has to do, right? Yeah. So skate tour was cut drastically short. I don't even skate as much as I'd like to, mostly because if I'm taking the time to go outdoors, then I need to actually walk and get exercise. So So yeah, skating isn't exactly exercise. It's activity, but it ain't exercise. It could be negative exercise if you fall and bust your ass, right? So yeah. So I haven't been skating as much as I like. I get on still. I still get on board, make sure I can do manuals and stuff. Um, yeah, I think that's probably going to be it. I'm thinking out loud and I'm liking it. I think what we're going to do is we're going to focus on getting enough resources together to be able to afford to rent a sprinter in order to do little journeys, little travels, but yet still comply with the paying the landlord. Yeah, because that's what it's all about. If you don't have an address, you don't have a landlord, you don't have a cop that you're paying money in order to live, they're coming after you. I wish I were joking, folks. I wish. I get it. Okay. Uh, yeah. So say a little prayer for me, Rosemarie, would you? That ideally I can get them. I just, it's okay to live in your vehicle. I get it, a somewhat of a newer vehicle, and I go back to my old way of living, which was wonderful. Ideally, less than ideal, but maybe better. Being an old guy, force you into the whole system of and renting sticks and bricks in order to not be harassed. No, I don't know if that'll work. I don't know. Like Ramon says, or you haven't said this, but you implied it. We're not getting away from being harassed. We're just making sure we're a few moves ahead so we come out top, so to speak. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, all right, that's it. I'm gonna do more of these. I'm gonna try to coordinate. And the next one I hope to do with Sifu Chad. He's just graduated from his studies, what he's done out there in the Rockies. And so it's going to be really interesting to talk to him about what he's been doing and the whole transition now that he's not in school and doing doing the slave life like we all are, right? So it'd be cool to reconnect with him as soon as possible. Uh, on the menu. It says chatbot, C4Z chatbot. And on Zagler 8, the chatbot is the first thing that pops up. So ask those things questions. If it also helps me out because I get to review those questions and I can then help the AI to then respond to those questions more effectively. So, but it's been doing a really good job, and it weaves in and out. Sometimes I'll feed it information and then it starts to like behave less efficiently. Um, so, but check it out. It's really interesting. The Zeigler 8 is, of course, focused on clone technologies and all that. And the Sifu Z is focused on martial arts and grappling to a lesser extent. But I include some grappling information in there as well. In fact, if you ask grappling information, that will be really helpful because then I can answer in the way that I would answer those sorts of questions. So thanks in advance if you're going over there to do that. Thank you. That really helps me out. Uh, all right. And I might even post this. So if you're watching this, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Ramon and everybody else, aloha. I'll see you guys soon. Take care and don't be a stranger.